Have you ever bought or rented a videotape that wasn't quite right?
You're listening to Truth or...
Imagine that. Two buffaloes like us, out there in the wild, wearing unisex turquoise blouses. Oh boy, that's gonna cause a commotion. Buddy, as a child, I yearned for the mines. So my question for you is, how many times did you watch Minecraft this month?
Jeez, look, I was lucky because I seen it before the whole chicken jockey thing kicked off. So that didn't happen at the showing that I went to. So I'm kind of lucky in that regard. For the one time that I seen it, I actually really enjoyed it. It was a good escape, you know what I mean? I'm not too familiar with the game, but I know it well enough. But I thought it was really well written, brilliantly acted too, especially Jack Black as Steve. Would I see it again? Yes. Would I see it in a cinema full of 14-year-old punk kids armed with fire hydrants? No. But have you seen it? How many times have you seen it?
Yeah, I actually went twice, and both times didn't actually have any chicken jockey happening either. But when that moment comes up, it's like I think everyone was like ready, you know, just staring around, waiting for it to happen. But yeah, no, it did. There was actually a Adelaide cinema which did a chicken jockey session in Semaphore, which is the Odeon Star, and they influenced people to come and do a safe version of the exploit. It made the news, so like they did virally good. Yeah, so the manager came in a big chicken jockey outfit and ran around while there was like mountains of popcorn all over the floor. So as long as they're not, doing anything too dangerous. But yeah, the movie's actually doing fantastically well, with almost hitting $1 billion on the box office. It's hitting number 2 at the moment. But yeah, there's a sequel definitely confirmed now, so something to look forward to. And I think the film actually did better than I expected it to. You know, like I wasn't very pleased with the Super Mario Brothers movie reboot that came out recently. What is your thoughts on that one?
I was about to mention Super Mario Brothers because even though that was okay, it was still a movie that had such a critical reception to it as well as a public one. And people have got to remember that are listening to this podcast that when you and I were coming up back in the day, look at the game adapted movies that we had. We had Super Mario Brothers. We had Street Fighter was sort of okay. We had Mortal Kombat, which started getting better. Then it just fell off the rails. So now whenever a computer game adaptation that goes into a movie does well, I'm like, holy, it worked.
Yeah, it's good they're bringing it back. I think Nintendo kind of halted anyone doing anything Mario Brothers, but me personally, I love the 90s Mario Brothers. I watch it a lot. So like falling off the rails or not, like as a kid, I was excited to see any video game adaptation come to light. Yeah. Especially like seeing that transition from a cartoon character being a real actor was exciting to me back then.
It was. And also you went in with this mind. I know for me with Mortal Kombat, when I went in, you got to give fan service to people that are familiar with the games, but you can't alienate the people that didn't play it. And I'm not saying Mortal Kombat was robbed of an award or anything like that, but you want to see what made it from the game into the movie. Like, say, for example, when Johnny Cage does his splits kick and gets Goro, yes, there it is. And then Scorpion's, get over here. Like, even though the CGI doesn't stand up, I still love that movie. And I'll put it out there, and I'd be curious to know what other people think as well. What's your favorite game adaptation into a movie?
Looking at the watch list recap, so Minecraft's one that most people had checked out during April. What other films have you checked out this month?
Do you know what I did? I know not cinema-wise, but you know how I've got boxes underneath my house full of DVDs and things like that. I found DVD. Have you ever done this? Because you buy a lot of movies and things like that, and you forget you've got it. So when you put it on the shelf, you forget. I watched for the first time 2 nights ago, Paranormal Activity.
First time. Wow.
First time. Yeah.
How was your experience with that?
It still blows me away what you can do with such a minimal budget. When you put the time and effort into building character, when you put time and effort into building a really good screenplay, right? You forget that is 99% of what you need to do. Get people in the connect, sure, but So many people have forgotten that. It's just throw budget at it, fix it in post. Let's do reshoots. But I thought it was great. Don't hang it on me though, Sean. About 10 jump scares from me. I think I ripped through half a packet of Peter Jackson cigarettes. I kept pausing, going over. It was like, I can't do horror very well, but I am looking forward though. Thunderbolts, the new Marvel film.
Right, yeah.
I'm actually really looking forward to it.
I really wasn't a big fan of Phase 4 as well, though I did love Civil War, and that kind of brought me back into it. I kind of tuned out for a little bit. I'm a big Winter Soldier fan, so like seeing him like front center for like Thunderbolts is definitely something I want to check out, and that's now at the cinemas at the moment.
The thing about Phase 4 that got me, I got lost so often because I meant to connect with a character whose backstory and character building was done on a TV show on Disney Plus that I didn't watch. And so I've got no context there. And then they brush over it briefly and I'm still lost. So I'm hoping they've just scrapped all that. You have to watch this and then do this and then do a backflip and then do a head spin and then do the robot. And then all of a sudden you have an understanding of the movie that you've just paid good money to see. So yeah, I reckon Thunderbolts for me is going to be the one that is probably going to either lock me in for the next phase of Marvel or maybe just give up completely.
They recently did a little announcement that they've renamed Thunderbolts to the New Avengers as well. So I'm not sure how cement in stone that is, but they did this thing where they ripped off Thunderbolts off the poster and it said the New Avengers. I don't know. Yeah, again, I don't know much of the context of it, but it seems they're pretty confident this is the New Avengers.
Oh, geez. The Avengers, especially with, like Endgame and that is one of the highest grossing films of all time. Not the highest, but one of.
Yeah.
And you can't just take that appeal and put it onto a bunch of, no disrespect to comic fans, B and D list characters in the Marvel comic world. So I'm not sure. I really don't know. I am really looking forward to seeing what RDJ does on he's Dr. Yeah.
Right. Well, I've been to the cinema a couple of times just over April, and number one on my list was the new vampire film Sinners, which actually wasn't pitched as a vampire film to begin with. That I know of. I was just expecting it to be something completely different. But once I heard vampires and the fact it was filmed for IMAX cinemas and that this is meant to be the cinema highlighted cinema release you should see in the cinema, I went to the biggest, the loudest screening, and I don't think I was emotionally, physically prepared for what this film delivered to me. Like I was
big,
like it was so entertaining. The first half of the film could be just its own film, and like it completely, you wouldn't even think of it as a vampire film if they didn't tease it for the first like 30 seconds of the film. Like this is going to happen later, but then it's like, kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn, for example. It has a lot of elements from Dusk Till Dawn. How that's it's a hostage film for the first, like 40, 50 minutes of the film. So yeah, this kicks off like just these couple of brothers setting up a bar. Kind of sounds like From Dusk Till Dawn already. Then obviously it hits the fan midway through, and like not only is just the music great, like the acting is amazing. Michael B. Jordan, he's playing himself, by the way.
Doing the brothers, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing both the brothers. But yeah, just the storytelling, the performances. I found myself trying not to sob from the drama from this film. That's what I mean. I wasn't prepared for all of these emotions to hit me. And I just tell everyone and anyone, I haven't been able to stop thinking or talking about this film since I've seen it, which was 3 weeks ago. So I highly recommend Sinners.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got when you got one actor doing two different roles, does Michael B. Jordan give it enough texture? What I mean by that is if you have a look at what, let's say, Tom Hardy did in Legend, where he was playing the Cray brothers. So Ronnie and Reggie Cray, they were two polar opposites. Does Jordan give that, definitely he's one character, he's another, and you're never confused? Or do you get confused like Double Impact, where there were two Jean-Claude Van Dammes? I wasn't complaining, but all they did was just give one of them longer hair, and he just did the same thing.
Yeah, he did brilliant. You know, he got the one which has got his head screwed on, the other one's a bit of a loose cannon. So that's kind of where they went with it. So I think you could tell the difference between the two very well. And he played both great. Like, yeah, if you can catch it at the cinema, but I think it's at the end of its run.
See, Sean's a good boy. No spoilers. Oh, apart from the fact that it turns into a vampire movie halfway through, but no spoilers. None. Why don't you tell me who Darth Vader is, brother? Now, that's what I was going to say about this movie. Kind of like a period piece. It's set in the 1930s. Does that help the story?
I think it's better that it works in this era. There's a lot of it's the music as well. The music is one thing I never thought I'd listen to. It's hillbilly kind of music from that era. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this is the stuff I'm listening to in the car now. I don't know. But if anyone else came away from that movie and isn't listening to the soundtrack, I'd be very surprised.
It's like what happened when the series or the TV series on Prime Fallout, and then all of a sudden all of this really old, probably gone so long that it's royalty free, all the old school, not ragtime, but that really old music. And I love it when a movie does that, man.
Another film I went and hit the cinema for was the PlayStation adaptation of Until Dawn. Were you able to catch this one?
I'm looking forward to that.
This is from my experience here. I'm sitting in a cinema full of like a few people. When certain moments happen of extreme gore and explosions and such like that, I found myself laughing out loud, but only not because it's just because some of the stuff is ridiculous, but in a good way ridiculous. But the people like to the side of me, like, so I was laughing, so I looked over and they're just like, why am I laughing? Yeah, so I get it. It's something wrong with me. It's not something wrong with me. It's something wrong with me. But when you see the movie, I think those cues, you'll understand where I was laughing. But it is great. It's good, like kind of Groundhog Day kind of twisted horror where you're stuck in the same day on repeat. But every time you die, you respawn to the start of the day, and you know something's coming to get you. But every time it's something different is coming to get you. It's wild. So you can't predict your way to avoid, the end because you don't know what's coming for it. And then that's not just a person. So the basic goal obviously is to survive through the night till the sun comes up. And that's what they keep trying to do through the movie. And I actually didn't play the game before I seen the movie. So I went in with an open mind, I kind of got a gist of it and loved it. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I know that there's been a few instances where that's been tackled. I don't mean Groundhog Day, but I know that the TV show Supernatural did something very, very similar, which is, just as a reminder, you cannot cheat death. No one gets out alive. But I find that a horror film in itself is good, but it has to be horror and drama, or horror and comedy, or horror and gore, or whatever, or even look at Short of the Dead, a zombie rom-com, like it has to be that's just for me. I'd be interested to know what other people think, but I absolutely can see you in a cinema watching something gory as hell, pissing yourself laughing while there are people trying not to lose their lunch 5 seats down from you.
That's exactly what it was. I could see it. This is maybe the first horror movie they've ever seen, or just horror movies in general disturb them. But I'm a man that watches a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I've been on movie sets. I know how fake it is, so I don't see it as real. The death is hard to sell to me. But like, for example, this movie does exaggerate deaths in a little while. That's why I laughed.
Yeah, kind of like watching. See, I would watch a movie like Saw and have a bit of a giggle.
Yeah.
But watching something like the original Hostel.
Oh, yeah. That's where you draw the line.
Well, kind of, but knowing that, because I went into that movie being told, whether or not it's true or not, that places like this actually exist. Yeah. That's why people go missing. And it is that, that possibility that's happening right now to someone. That's the thing that freaks me out.
Yeah.
If something is where most people turn away, you won't see the screen, but you'll hear Sean go, and you know where he is in the cinema. So yeah, no, that's a really good couple of recommendations.
A lot of people would start to speculate on the new Predator Badlands, which comes out in November, starring Elle Fanning. The first trailer just come out from the director of Prey, which was actually a pretty decent film. What do you think of the first impression of that one?
I think they've done what they had to do, which was first Predator movie, brilliant. Predator 2, again, brilliant. Things got a little bit wobbly after that, even when you start doing AVP or Alien versus Predator or anything like that. So to do it from the Alien or the Predator's perspective, I think it is a last roll of the dice. If they get this right, that is setting them up. The reason why I'm a bit ambivalent about it is because the reason why Predator worked in the first two movies for me was how, a bit like Bruce, the shark in Jaws, rarely seen. It was more about POVs. It was more about glimpses, dark lit, a lot of shadows, a lot of silhouettes. And for Predator, when you do that, when that reveal, oh my God, when that reveal happened, still to this day in the first Predator, where, you know, the mask opens and it does that, that still gives me chills, man. And I'm just worried that is that tension that is synonymous with Predator going to be there when the actual main character with, you would imagine, the most on-screen time is the lead character, is the thing that we're meant to fear, or not fear, but relate with. That being said, trailer looks dope though, man. It really does. And I think they'll nail it the same way Alien Romulus did. If be honest, when you heard that another Alien movie was coming out, you're like, another one?
No,
really?
I think I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. I'm happy with the Aliens films, and I wasn't prepared for Alien Romulus to blow my mind, though. That's a different story. Yeah, like I'm a big Prometheus fan. I know a lot of people are kind of 50-50 on that one. I loved Prometheus, but the following, what was it, Alien Covenant, wasn't too impressed with that. So I go in hoping for the best, so I want to see a good Alien film again. Alien Romulus did that. I think, again, it was 50-50 for some people on that, but if you just kind of wipe your expectations of ruining the original and just go into and enjoy a good film, which does have nods to the original, like especially Aliens. And there was moments where I was applauding, like especially that highlighted scene that Andy does at the end. I was like, go on. He says, get away from her. And then there's that big pause. I'm like, say it.
Yeah, you're right.
Coming from the director of Prey, did you like Prey at all? I thought it was great.
I thought Prey was good, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a lot of faith in him for doing this one. He's also dropping an anime in June 6 as well, so we got that to look forward to. So he's delivered two things. So he's been pretty busy, directing the anime and now got Badlands to follow it at the end of the year. So I think we've got to look forward to. It's either going to be double disappointment or we're going to like the anime and not the movie. So we're going to see what happens.
Looking at Predator, I'll put it into a different context because both you and I are as musically mad as we are movie and celluloid mad. If you took Limp Bizkit, Korn, and you took their album, Follow the Leader, and instead of Korn recording the album that came after that, they came to you and said, we want you to do the next Korn album under the name Korn, same name, but you got to do it. Would you try and stick to the formula, or would you try and do something that's going to elevate what came before it? Because I think that's what this Predator movie is going to do.
That's great. And that's what Bill and Ted did with Bogus Journey. I watched the documentary on that. They're like, we could do the same film again with phone booth and bringing back history members and all that. But they went completely off the rails with Bogus Journey, and I applaud them for that. A lot of people don't like that, but I love that film. And I had a conversation with the writer of Tremors. He's currently writing the new Tremors film, and he's at the same thing.
What movie? Yeah,
he does not want to do, the same thing. He doesn't want to do a reboot with new characters. He wants to do a sequel, but he doesn't want to do the same thing. So it's definitely a hard topic for someone to continue on, a movie when especially they put all their eggs in the basket for that first film, expecting that to be the one and done,
It would be, because even if, the movie that we refer to a lot, and I don't just mean on this podcast, like you and I just text out of the clear blue sky Back to the Future quotes. The Jets will never find out. Anyway, that's a shot. Even Robert Zemeckis putting to be continued, to be continued at the end of Back to the Future 1 was a joke. There was never meant to be. And as he said, if he knew that there was going to be 2 and then 3, he would have never put Jennifer in the car, because now you've got to deal, instead of it just being Doc and Marty going off into, doing whatever, now you've got to not just work Jennifer in more than what you would probably like, but you've also got to get her out of the way, which does take up time. So putting all your eggs in one basket can be a gamble, but man, if that gamble pays off, you got to be the hottest thing behind the camera in Hollywood, let alone the world of cinema. Yeah.
Talking about Back to the Future, folks, just a split second, because we'll get into that more later, is that 1, 2, 3 are basically the same movie. They do the exact same thing, you know, Marty entering a bar, Marty doing this, Marty getting chased by Biff.
Yeah.
There's actually a link between the original Predator and Back to the Future. Can you tell me what that is?
Is it Shane Black?
It is the score. It's done by Alan Silvestri, who did the Back to the Future theme song, also does all the Predator theme songs. So what is amazing...
Did I not know that?
No, what's really funny is next time you watch Predator, at the very end, how Schwarzenegger's having the one-on-one with the Predator, close your eyes and just listen to the music. It just sounds like, you know, Back to the Future. Like the way he's produced that end piece, it just sounds Back to the Future to me. That's where I first went, who produced this? I'm like, I have to know. And I'm like, that's why. It's Alan Silvestri.
That's true. It was the same time. I got in late. Don't you hate getting to the cinemas late for whatever reason? Like, you don't know what you missed. And I missed the opening credits to The Social Network throughout the entire film. I couldn't help but think, you're going to paste me for this. The whole movie, I couldn't help but think, whoever did this score really rubs on Trent Reznor. And then it wasn't until the credits, because I stick around for the credits.
Yeah.
There it is, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross. And I'm like, that explains it.
Next month, we have more to look forward to. 28 years later. This is almost June 19, almost 28 years later since the first film, which came out in 2002. So 22 years later, we should call it. Aaron Taylor Johnson from Craven and my favorite Nocturnal Animals.
I'll tell you why this is going to be dope. Danny Boyle as a director does not miss. Everything I've seen, champion, Shallow Grave, Train Spotting, Slumdog Millionaire. What did I want? The Beatles one. What's that one called? That was great. Sunshine. That's a great film. Cillian Murphy's in that as well. 28 Days Later. And if you think about what Danny Boyle does, look at every single film. You line up every single film that he has done, and it doesn't matter what genre it is, where it's set, what the premise is, the first, second, third act. It's all about how people react to being scared shitless. Am I wrong? I don't think I am. And the way he does it is it's just a masterclass watching him work. And the fact that he's coming back in on material that he was already part of founding, I'm going to call it early. This will be movie of the year.
Definitely looking forward to that one, and it's not far off. So we're looking at just under a month till we see this one on the big screen.
Dude, how good was that first trailer? Five.
I'm not a trailer guy, to be honest. I skip all trailers. I hate trailers.
You don't want spoilers.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I love a trailer will get me hyped.
Not trailers these days that are like 3 minutes long. I like the old school 90s trailers that are like 20 seconds to 30 seconds long. Those I can watch.
Yeah.
You know, like they're quicker. Now.
Yeah. I'm not sure you're going to get any spoilers in, because this is the thing. When you go back and watch a trailer after you've seen the movie, everything becomes clear. Like, you can see the trailer. But trailers normally drop months before the movie comes out. So you're probably only going to watch the trailer once, maybe show it to someone else. You know, those people that are pissed at a party going, hang on, man, I'll find it. Oh, it's in here somewhere. And you're standing there for 10 minutes hang on. No, that's not it. That's right. Apart from that, so I don't think you'd retain anything, but honestly, a trailer done well will essentially sell tickets on its own. And I can guarantee you, whatever your hype level is right now, it'll go out of frame. It'll go up huge. And no, I get the no spoiler thing, but
It's not just spoilers. There's a few films I could give credit to that I like to just go in not knowing what to expect at all. Like, for example, that film At World's End, the Shaun of the Dead guys. Yeah, I just bought a ticket to that one day. Didn't even know anything about it. I didn't see a trailer, didn't know it was out. I just went to the cinema one day. Any mini mighty way, went in blind, and I did not see any of that coming and loved every minute of it. So just everything fresh to me is more exciting, is what I mean by that. So may or may not see spoilers. I'm still happy to go in fresh.
I can't fault that logic.
Can we say that 28 Days Later is possibly one of the best zombie films of all time?
I would argue it's a zombie film at all. They didn't go down the zombie path, but it's not necessarily so because it's rage. You're in that much of a rage, like, Spike. So there were a lot of people, and some people do forget this. There are some people that were really put off by, they wanted to slash, gore, things like that. They didn't want to see how, in the classic Danny Boyle way, adapt to change, adapt to not knowing what's going to happen next and things like that. So, but for the sake of where it sits in that entire zombie canon, it does fit, Then with Robert Carlyle in 28 Weeks Later, I've only ever seen that once, so I don't remember too much about it. But I do know that all the hard work that went into the original 28 Days Later, shutting down Piccadilly Circus and the bridge near the Houses of Parliament so they could get that shot of Cillian Murphy with no one around, shutting down a highway literally for 5 minutes they had to do that shot in the four-wheel drive where they're driving. Nowadays, you just CG, get rid of everyone, do whatever. Not only is it not, in my opinion, a zombie film, but if anyone watches it that didn't see it when it came out, it's also going to be a heavily underappreciated film. I know the trailer. Watch the trailer, Sean!
28 Days Later, I got to see that one at the cinema, and I think the most unique thing about it was the zombies weren't running back then. That was the first time you've seen zombies running, I believe. Or for me anyway, like I watched a lot of zombie films, and some of my favorites are like Return of the Living Dead 3, Brain Dead, Evil Dead, Frankenhooker. But yeah, running zombies, that scared you. It's like thinking, you could outrun a zombie is what everyone used to say, but now you can't. So that's what made 28 Days Later terrifying for me.
It really did. I mean, even Simon Pegg said for Shaun of the Dead, why don't you zombies run? And he says, because death is not an energy drink, right? Yeah, and that does make it so much more visceral, as in the one advantage we had is stripped away from us. I'm really pumped for it though, man. Now, we're here to guide you through the best content to watch, whether you're planning a movie night at home or hitting the cinema. So first, let's check out what's playing on the big screen.
All right, first on the big screen, we got Thunderbolts, which we just recently touched on before, starring Florence Pugh from Midsommar, Sebastian Stan, Winter Soldier, Wyatt Russell from Overlord, and David Harbour from Stranger Things, and from the director of Paper Towns. Plot: this one's a group of not-so-perfect heroes get stuck in a deadly situation and must work together in a risky mission, facing their troubled past along the way. Fun facts, as we said before, this one's now renamed as The New Avengers. Basically a Suicide Squad type flick, and I think this one's high on your list.
It is high on my list because I want to see where Marvel go. On paper, it looks really good, especially Florence Pugh. I think she's a fantastic actor. And if you've seen Midsommar, especially if you've seen the Midsommar director's cut, that set her up for life being in films. I personally think that in a cinematic universe like Marvel, I don't think they're going to stretch her to the abilities that she could offer, because let's be honest, it's a popcorn flick and it's got to sell. But I think Thunderbolts is going to reignite the Marvel cinematic universe. So fingers are definitely crossed. Final Destination. Now starring Tony Todd and Brett Bassinger. That's from the director of Freaks, Leprechaun Origins. Now, it's plagued by a violent and reoccurring nightmare. A college student heads home to track down one person who might be able to break the cycle of death. Fun fact about this movie, brother, the directors had to audition for the role amongst many others but got the gig by staging a fake accident, Final Destination style, on a webcam meeting. Big back in the day, back in the early 2000s. How do you think it's going to stand up in 2025?
I'm quite nervous about it. Like, I love the first two. I think the third one wasn't bad, and I just kind of forgot about the others. So, like, I'm intrigued by another one. I've dodged all the trailers for because I want to see the deaths as fresh as I can. So I'm not too spoiled on that. And I don't know what the main event is either. So, I think I've heard good things as well, which is hard by preview screening saying it's good. So. I'm definitely one to check this out. Love the first two, but they traumatized me from getting on planes and driving behind trucks, So it's like, what's next that I got to scan off?
Yeah, me too. It's funny when you're driving behind like a log carrier.
Yeah. Is that new?
Like, that's it. Pull over, take 5, little power nag. Yeah, I reckon that's going to be cool, man. Yeah, I reckon they're going to bring this one.
Next on the big screen, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, starring Tom Cruise, the director of the last 4 Mission Impossible, starting from Rogue Nation to the current. Plot following the events of Dead Reckoning, Ethan Hunt and his team are in a hurry to stop the dangerous computer program that could wipe out humanity. Now, fun facts, the stunts are always surreal for this one. Tom Cruise at a very, very critical age to be doing something like this, but the Daredevil, like, you got to admire him putting the blood, sweat, and tears and everything for this. I went and seen the Dead Reckoning at Screen X Event Cinemas, which was a massive screen, and it was absolutely amazing. So this one, Paramount, going to go hard with this one.
I reckon so. If you're going to put an end to such a beloved franchise, and a franchise that has literally stepped up each time they release a movie for it, there will be something in there. Tom Cruise, he's one of the very few stars where just on name on the poster will get people in the cinema. When you put that under Mission Impossible, guaranteed, I'll call it $1 billion movie. On the big screen as well, Bring Her Back. Sally Hawkins is in it. It's from the director of Talk to Me, Australian directors, and it's a brother and sister who witness pretty ordinary ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. Now, fun fact, it was filmed in Adelaide, South Australia, where you are. And second to which, it wouldn't be the first time someone has filmed in Adelaide a terrifying ritual done at someone's foster parent's house.
Yeah, no, Talk to Me is actually a really great film. And I think this one is highly anticipated and definitely one to check out.
Yeah, and one of the things that I don't realize because we're in it is the fact that the Australian movie, or I guess not the Australian genre, I don't think we're sort of genreized like that, but a movie that comes out of Australia has a texture to it that other countries do not have. And you can kind of pick up on it when you go back to the 80s and watch movies like Malcolm, go to the 90s and watch movies like The Castle. Then you could watch, you could go back even further with like the original Mad Max, but there's definitely a flavor. It's like an accent. I don't hear me having an accent. I mean, a lot of people do say I've got a bloody accent, Sean, but I can't hear it. And it's the same thing. It's like a flavor we can't taste. And I'm really, really proud of that. And that's brought home in spades in Bring Her Back. So yeah, awesome work.
Next on the big screen, we have Karate Kid Legends, starring Ben Wang, Jackie Chan, and the original Karate Kid from the director of I Am Not Okay With This and The End of the Effin' World. Now, this one just screams, reboot of the Karate Kid, but sounds exciting. The storyline, is actually placed 3 years after the events of the television series Cobra Kai. So they're tying in not only the original Karate Kids, but Cobra Kai as well, which is exciting.
That was so big and deservedly so. Ben Wang, the kid that's in this, I've seen a couple of scenes. They were doing VFX breakdowns for it, just getting rid of wires and stuff like that. He has got skills, man, not just martial arts skills, but he can really sell, really sell what he's doing. And Jackie Chan is still Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Like even just this quick scene that was in a kitchen, like how a lot of Hong Kong, fight choreographers and things like that use the absence of space to make things a lot more, enjoyable to watch. And it was great. And then when you put Ralph into the mix, let's be honest, I don't think the storyline is going to be, winning any awards, but I don't care. That's not what the Karate Kid's about. The Karate Kid's about having a good time, feeling good. Good guy wins in the end. And I've got no doubts this is going to reboot that franchise. Yeah, bring it on. At Movieland, we highly recommend checking out event cinemas across Australia. You can relax, unwind, and indulge in Gold Class, the first-class cinema experience. With exclusive lounge access, in-seat service, and fully reclining seats, get the star treatment today. Or upsize your ticket with VMAX, big screen, big sound, and big ways to upgrade your seat. With giant, state-of-the-art digital screens showing the latest Hollywood blockbusters. At Event Cinemas, you can be rewarded for doing what you love, seeing movies. Join Cinebuzz, earn points and redeem free movie tickets and save 10% on food and drinks. Join and save now at eventcinemas.com.au. Now, look, as we said before, we've got plenty of movie tickets. Well, Sean does. I don't have one yet. But there's a ton. So I'll tell you what, Sean went to Event Cinemas and said, can we have some free tickets? They gave him 10. I'm taking 4. So we have 6. Promise I won't. We'll leave them up to everyone else. As you've heard, killer films coming out, not just in the next couple of weeks, but the next couple of months. We could see up for the rest of the year if you wanted to. And it's a free night out at the movies. People have forgotten how good it is having a night at the movies, you know what I mean? It is an actual, it's living up to its name, Event Cinemas. Going to the big screen is an event. So just follow us on Facebook or Insta or both, and you'll see our giveaway posts. When you see those, drop a popcorn emoji. That's it. You're in the draw to win. Now, if you do prefer your screens smaller, not this. I can't believe people watch movies on their phone, man. If you just want to watch stuff on your TV and you want to check out the streaming services, well, we're going to have a look right now to save you clicking endlessly for something to eventually appeal to you. Here are the highlighted new releases on streaming this month.
But on Netflix, May 15th, the fearless anthology series Love, Death and Robots is returning for a 4th volume of mechanical madness. You can always expect this anthology series to serve up some wild stuff, and Volume 4 is definitely no exception. This collection of animated short series spans several genres, including science fiction, fantasy, horror, and comedy. And this one is for fans of the anime heavy metal. I'm guessing you're a big fan of this one, buddy.
I don't want to say anything about it because whatever I say is not going to do it justice how good this is. It's got nothing to do with the genres that it dives into. It's got nothing to do with how well and brilliantly it's written, scripted, animated. If you just love good storytelling, but it's done at a level where you have people at the absolute top of their game pitching in, Love, Death and Robots for you, May 15.
And May 23rd, Fear Street returns with Prom Queen, directed by Matt Palmer, based on the novel The Prom Queen from the Fear Street book series. It is the 4th installment in the Fear Street film series, and it is based on students at Shayside High. They're preparing for a 1998 prom. The It Girls are fighting to get support to be voted Prom Queen. As usual, nominee emerges in the race, and some of the other candidates begin to vanish without a trace. I don't know, Fear Street, is this something you've dove into at all?
I've had a quick look and several people have recommended it, but not enough to make me go, I'm going to check that out. But that being said, I'll give it a shot. 5 stars.
100% agree.
If this is anybody with Steve Allen, you're stealing my bit.
Now, if you're like me, you never got enough to watch, or you just like a bigger selection to choose from. Here are some of the new releases now available to rent or buy on digital. Locked, the 2025 movie, which kind of resembles something of a Saw kind of movie. Eddie tries to steal from a fancy SUV but gets locked inside by the car's owner. William, who's out for revenge, uses this high-tech car to torture Eddie. Now, this is starring Anthony Hopkins, so Silence of the Lambs is actually kind of the theme you get here, starring Bill Skarsgård from Pennywise, It, and Nosferatu.
There it is. Yep. A tier. Borderlining on S. Yeah, I reckon Lock's going to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. When was the last time we've seen someone trapped in a small phone booth? Colin Farrell.
Phone booth. Yeah, that's a good one.
Great movie. Y2K is a film that both Sean and I think you should be checking out. And now, if you have seen it, let us know in the comments. Now, in the 2024 movie Y2K, two high school friends, Eli and Danny, they crash a New Year's Eve party on December 31st, 1999. And once the clock strikes midnight, the Y2K bug, completely other scenario to what actually happened. What a letdown Y2K was. But in this movie, completely different story. Things go south quick, turning everyday electronics into deadly machines. Now, the teens, along with the others, including, and there's another word for it, he's this generation's Frank Sinatra. Limp Bizkit's Fred Durst playing himself. They have to navigate this chaotic tech-driven apocalypse to survive and stop machines from taking over the world. The film blends a nice little blast of 90s nostalgia, which is never a bad thing. And then you got the horror elements, then you got the comedy elements. Really, from what I've heard, Fred Durst really does make a standout in this film.
Kind of makes me want to break stuff. Yeah, like
It's one of those days.
Yeah, it's one of those days. Y2K was, definitely an overhyped kind of like situation back in 1999. Like, I'll be feared of it. I think everyone was kind of like 50-50 or whether or not. And I remember specifically where I was because my mom and took us out to the Murray Bridge for like a holiday. And I'm like, I don't want to die in Murray Bridge. I want to die at home playing PlayStation, doing something I love, you know? Like, not just by a river, you know? Just
imagine that. It wouldn't matter what life you lived. If you ended up in the Y2K apocalypse in good old Mother Bizza, it's over. Like it just is. Yeah, so Y2K, look, don't take it too seriously. You know, Fred Durst's in it. You know, it's like when you go to someone's backyard barbecue, but they've got a bouncing castle. You're like, oh, well, you know, it's not going to be a somber event, is it?
Yeah, there's never enough new movies coming out, so be kind, rewind. It's not an old movie if you haven't seen it, so rewind to a classic movie this month. We've got some hidden gems for you to rewind, and we recommend that you dig up and check out. First, coming out of seeing Sinners, I had to put From Dusk Till Dawn on top of my list, the 1996 action horror movie about two criminal brothers, Seth and Richie Gecko, who take a family hostage and hide out in a remote bar in Mexico. But things take a wild turn when they discover the bar is run by vampires. What starts as a crime story quickly becomes a bloody fight for survival until dawn. No, sunrise. I got you.
I would have put Dawn, but it is, I don't think I've ever had a movie jar me like that because Tarantino wasn't the Tarantino that we know now. You watch this movie, barely anybody knew because there's no social media or anything like that. So people are like, oh yeah, Dusk Till Dawn. You got Clooney on the front, heartthrob, rocket a huge neck piece. Cool. Quentin Tarantino's in it. Yep, he's got a good name. And there's nothing really on the packaging that says what it's going to turn into. So it's kind of like a running from the law movie, and then it just does that right hand twist, and it's an all-timer, this movie. It really is. Yeah.
Seeing George Clooney, probably one of his most badass roles I've ever seen him in. Like, I wish he did more like that. Like, what sticks in my mind is not only Batman and Robin for some reason, but I don't know if you ever seen it. The Perfect Storm was one of his best bits for me. I love that film so much. Before you jump into the next film, I need to ask you, are you going to eat that cornbread?
God damn, you can't have my cornbread. Like, it's a movie where if it had been released at either side of when Eddie Murphy kind of fell out in public favor, this would have been so much more in the zeitgeist. Life is Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence. It's back in the 30s. Essentially, Eddie Murphy's kind of like, the man about town and, knows all the hot spots, knows all the passwords to get in. Has been played a few times, like knows how to play the game, knows how to pickpocket, knows all the, people, knows all the gangsters. Then you got Martin Lawrence, who's like an accountant, and they got nothing to do with one another until they both get caught up in paying a debt. And so then they have to do this moonshine run to get money back. Anyway, it ends up turning a bit south, to say the least, and they end up with life in prison. Now, that doesn't sound like a great big deal. But this movie has got so much, and I think you'll agree with me, so much heart. It's a warm, it's one of those things where you really, it ends up being an ensemble cast when they're in prison. People come and go, and it's set over so many decades. And even for now, when you look at the special effects makeup in Life, it did win an Academy Award and won it for a reason. It genuinely looks like an old Eddie Murphy and an old Martin Lawrence. But how they bounce off one another in this film is even tighter, more captivating than Martin Lawrence and Will Smith in any of the Bad Boys movies.
True.
It's got a credit to it where you really do feel like you're in prison. I mean, your pants don't come off. What I mean by that is you really do feel for these characters, especially when they get to later in life. And then there's a twist. I won't say what that is, but it really is brilliantly written, brilliantly acted, directed perfectly. Like, it didn't have to be anything flash. And I highly could not recommend more the movie Life.
I hope it was all worth it for that apple pie.
Goddamn burnt my damn tongue.
Oh yeah, man, that one's like full of quotes, and love Martin Lawrence. One of my favorite films of his is Blue Streak, actually, and they're actually doing a sequel to that reel coming up soon. But
Yes.
One thing, did you catch Life at the cinema?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, see, I actually reluctantly got dragged to that film. I was like, we're going to the cinema. My mom's like, yeah, I got free tickets to this movie called Life, and I got there and I looked at the poster and I was like, this looks boring. Why is there explosions? Where's the superheroes? Where's Batman? There's other people playing. So I don't know what else was playing that time, but I wanted to see that. And she's like, no, we got free tickets to this. And I sat through Life and I was like, wow, that was amazing.
I love when that happens. I was dragged to, I can't remember what film it was now, but I got dragged into it and seen the poster, knew a couple of people, so what? And I remember I was reluctantly in a huff, like,
same as me.
and then within about 30 minutes, I absolutely understand. I'd be interested to know which movies that's happened to in chat, where you go in and you think, I'm not going to like it, and you end up loving it. Yeah.
Or even just watching it at home. There's a lot of films the missus puts on and I was just like, oh, I'm not going to be into this. And then I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right, on my list is a 2012 movie, Chronicle. Now, this one I was excited for off the bat. So it's a bunch of three teenagers who develop superhero powers, and initially they use their abilities for fun and mischief. That's kind of how the start of the film kind of pitches. But one of the kids becomes suffering personal struggles at home and getting bullied by people and starts to spiral into dark behavior. Now, this one presents through found footage style, which you're actually just brought up with Paranormal Activity. One I'm actually a big fan of. I love like Blair Witch, for example. I just love it makes it feel the film's more real, like some films that they deliver the performance properly and it's presented well, I can really feel. But I love all three of these guys who are in this film, and Michael B. Jordan's one of his earlier roles. This is another reason why I brought in him, because I'm fresh off seeing Sinners and just can't praise him enough for his performances, and there's just this uphill praising this film so much.
Yeah, awesome. For those following along at home, the Michael B. Jordan counter is now up to 16. Now, I've got to say, some movies don't need a huge synopsis or selling point. Let me tell you why people who have not seen it should see Over the Top. Stallone, championship arm wrestling, trucks, Bull Hurley. I can't drop my mic. It's on a crane, but Yeah. Over the top. Watch it.
All right, everyone's kung fu fighting with the Karate Kid hitting the big screen. So I just want to say, what are some of your favorite fighting films?
Up there, pretty much straight away, Mortal Kombat.
Definitely.
The 90s Mortal Kombat, we have to distinguish that.
True.
Under Siege, which was an actual half-decent Steven Seagal movie. Rocky IV, Police Story, Jackie Chan.
Yeah, Jackie Chan was amazing. Like, as soon as I dove into his films in the 90s, I was just blown away by his work, like, especially Rush Hour. And I hope they do more with Rush Hour, by the way. It's just Jackie still on the screen and Chris Tucker back. That'd be amazing. But
Smokey! Yeah, and Romeo Must Die.
another film I love is not a Bruce Lee movie, but it's the Bruce Lee story played by Jason Scott Lee, Dragon. What do you think of that one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, it should have been mine. Yeah, I thought it was good. And imagine the shoes to fill.
Yeah.
You know, you're literally having to nail the performance that matches an icon.
Exactly.
And as far as the film goes, I thought it was great. I mean, I'm not the biggest Bruce Lee fan, but it's like anything. When you cut through culture that well, everyone knows who you are, even if they've never seen a film. And I reckon they handled it perfectly. You know, they treated it with respect, and it made you kind of want to watch a Bruce Lee movie after it. So yeah, good call.
Yeah, coming from the 90s, I actually wasn't too familiar with Bruce Lee yet. So my first impression of Bruce Lee was Dragon. And so I thought this was, based on a true story. Like, this is some of his stuff. A lot of it was exaggerated, unfortunately. But I think it was still great. And his wife actually had a hand in, approving the film. So like, she at least gave her blessing on most of the stuff that went in on there. So like, I think the whole film's great, and the score as well, just everything about it's beautiful, and it still holds up. And Jason Scott Lee, amazing actor. I love him actually in the Jungle Book live action they did as well. He did amazing in that.
Yeah.
And he plays in Back to the Future 2 as well. There's a heckler in the background. Another one Jason Scott Lee did is I can't put aside. It's actually a more recent film he did. I actually didn't know he was in it when I was putting it in. The Mulan live action film came out, I think it's 2020, 2021. Did you get to catch that on Disney Plus?
I did. I think that the character arc in the animated Mulan was a great thing for kids to absorb and look up to. The live action, all of a sudden, instead of not being very wary of how the world works, she's not a very good fighter, and she has to learn trial and error. In the live action, she's just blessed with being the best at whatever she does.
Right.
That kind of hit me. That being said, fight scenes,
yeah,
next level.
Absolutely. And last on my list, I got to put up for is the Forbidden Kingdom. I've seen that recently. It's actually based on the Monkey TV series. If you've seen those back in the day, we got Jet Li and Jackie Chan in this one. That one blew my mind. But obviously, big 90s Mortal Kombat fan. Got the video store standee in my room, which is I got to flex hard with that one.
Mate, that is a hard flex. I can't top it. Although neither you or I have managed to find that soundtrack on vinyl.
No, it doesn't exist. They did the score, but not the the band's adaptation of the soundtrack.
There's one thing to be able to quote movies, but it's another thing to know the soundtrack. Now, you openly admitted before, my very good friend, that when you looked at the movie Predator, you're like, oh, that sounds a little bit the same. And I remember thinking, this intro is going way longer than what I wanted it to. So this is what's the score. This is where I'm going to play you a snippet of a movie score. You just have to tell me what movie it is. Do you have the minerals, do you think, to get 3 out of 3? This is where we're going to throw it out to the chat. I want to see how good they are at recognizing a movie score just from a snippet of audio. Very clever idea, Sean. And also, it's how we get around being copyright striked without hitting the limit. So I'm going to play a snip, and I want you to tell me what you think it is. I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong, because this is for the people listening, all right? So I'm going to start off with super, super easy one. What is it? Now, that's just a loosener because I'm being nice.
Yeah.
I want to know if people can spot this. I don't think anyone's going to get that one at all. No one's going to get that. And finally, this one. In retrospect, I probably could have made these a little bit easier, but when I'm just about to hand out freebies, let us know. We're going to see who has the best movie score mind on next month's podcast. So leave what you think those three are in the chat.
Yeah, I'm excited to see who gets those first. So we'll be keeping an eye on the chat.
Me too.
All right, don't forget to like and subscribe this video, or if you're listening to the podcast, throw a follow and a rating for us. Make sure to check out our website at movieland.au, grab some merchandise, or check out the Movieland magazine, socials with daily posts and recommendations, win free movie tickets. This month we have Bring Her Back, and of course coming up, Karate Kid. Don't forget to be kind, of rewind, and don't do your homework without wearing headphones, and repeat that. Thank you so much, Blake, for joining us. I appreciate that, buddy.
Pleasure. Thank you, brother.